Hello, my friends. Welcome to the jungles of Palawan. You can hear my friendly bugs in the background, getting a little bit loud maybe, in which case I would have to re-record this. So these green plants all around are what we evolved in, and we have this symbiotic relationship with all of these plants. We are breathing, taking in the oxygen. When we exhale, the carbon dioxide goes out, and these plants, all of them, take the carbon dioxide. They take the carbon. They give us back the oxygen. That oxygen comes back charged, usually with extra electrons. This is called the prana. So we have this relationship with the plants, and when we're living with them, obviously we are enriched with the oxygen and with the prana. Keeps us alive. It's a very important thing. And then going down into the chemistry involved, you're dealing with carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and the rearranging of this in us and then in the plants. Consider also that the plants are giving us the food that we eat. Carbohydrates, proteins, made of these same molecules, and a few others, trace minerals, etc. So this is an exchange that's happening in our metabolism all the time, in the green nature and the not so green. The trunk of the tree is also alive. Take a deep breath, feel the oxygen, feel the prana. If you don't, you might be in the wrong environment. So you're welcome to come here, learn how to breathe, practice healing breathing, and taking it from there into a healthier lifestyle. So then, as I was studying this and breathing over the decades, I came into, in the 80s, a study, I believe it was in a magazine called Psychology Today. In this article, they were talking about a study they had done with aging people, and finding that as people age, they breathe more and more shallow, to the point where at the end they stop breathing and they're dead. Now it was interesting that in conclusion, at the end of the study, they pointed out that they couldn't really determine whether the aging caused the shallow breathing or the shallow breathing caused the aging. So as a practicing yogi who'd already been breathing deeply for at least 15 years at that time, now it's 55 years, I realized, well, this is a very important point, that we have lungs that have 4 or 5 liters of capacity, and in general people are only using 10%, which is just the minimal keeping you alive. It doesn't inspire you or motivate you. You don't have the power, which is why as adults we like to sit around and watch movies or do these things. Exercise and motion bring things into play, make us breathe more deeply. And we've created a lifestyle we don't move anymore. We're sitting there moving our fingers. It doesn't work. So with this aging study, I took that into serious consideration and kind of expanded my breathing practice, expanded my lungs. I mean, I was already breathing Mahat Yoga Pranayama, which you can get instructions on my website at chakrayoga.com. I put in more time. It's not just that you know how to breathe, you do alternate nostril breathing in a yoga class for 5 minutes. There's 24 hours in the day. How many hours are you breathing to your full capacity? Study that. Look at other people around you and look at yourself. Very little time is spent simply breathing properly. When we eat, we fill our stomachs. When we breathe, we don't fill our lungs. This is a mistake. And as adults, we should take this seriously and change what we're doing. And change it with our children. If they learn at a young age their age will be extended considerably, and so will yours. Cut again. And then in the 90s, when I was dealing with cancer patients, I realized that by showing them how to breathe and pushing them to breathe deeply more each day, more time each day, the cancer simply went away. I understood this from all my years of breathing already and my study and research in our physiology and how everything works on the inside. Everything requires oxygen, every cell, trillions of them. So I realized that if cancer can simply go into remission by breathing deep and circulation, of course not eating too much sugar or anything, that's an important point again. It should be known to more and more people how this works. But of course, this information is not really spread out too much. It's kind of swept under the carpet, and we go on with our normal life. So when I was doing this, working with cancer people, I did that quite a bit, several times. 12 times I saw cancer, from brain tumors to breast cancer, simply dissolving in a matter of weeks. Like, I'm talking 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's all it takes. So this is an important observation that I like to share with people, but people would say, oh, I don't know if I believe that. Well, your belief is your karma. The reality is, I have seen this. I have experienced this. Now, in my studies at the time, I found this research done by Dr. Otto Warburg, a German scientist. In the 1930s, he got a Nobel Peace Prize for discovering that cancer cells do not live in a high oxygen environment. This was very interesting. So if people are breathing deep and your whole bloodstream is rich with oxygen, there will be no place for cancer to start developing. Then I found later, actually just a few years ago, around 2020 or something like that, another research that was done with the cancer cells. And the mitochondria, which are the little parts of the cell, little organelles in the cells that actually do the create the energy needed by the cell to do everything, they change their metabolism. If they don't have enough oxygen, they will adapt and create a different metabolism based on sugar instead of oxygen. So these cells can live without oxygen. And of course, most people take too much sugar. So this goes into propelling these cells to be growing, proliferating, duplicating, reproducing into tumors. You can change that simply by changing your metabolism, changing the blood supply into enriched with oxygen. It makes all the difference in the world. Now the last thing I want to say is, as far as the breathing is concerned, I do several hours of it. I have created the habit of breathing more deeply. Whenever I'm moving this way, that way, I'm inhaling or exhaling. When I get up in the morning, I do 1 hour of pranayama, complete deep breathing with Mahat Yoga pranayama, making sure all 3 parts are functioning. And then with that, I feel I'm quite young and rejuvenated and healthy and whatnot in the prime of my life. But I'm 75. I should be an old man. I went for a DNA test 2 years ago, I guess. And they study the telomeres on the end of your DNA. The telomere testing tells you the age of your cells. When you get older, this unravels until eventually it comes off completely and your DNA falls apart. So do you. Now, what I found with the research on me, it took several, large blood samples. It took a week to get the results back. But then they found, well, these blood cells are of a 48-year-old man, maximum. So if the cells in my body are only 48 years old, I'm still in my prime. And that's exactly how I feel. This is the result of breathing deeply. Not doing a breathing class, not putting the act of breathing completely and deeply in every day of your life, whenever you think about it. And there we go. Yoga is mind over matter, and your thinking will be in the way. It will distract you, entertain you. You'll always be thinking of what you're going to do next, not how are you feeling with the breath right now. Complete deep breathing. A simple key. Abdominal breath. Rejuvenates all the organs down here. Midsection. Triggering heart, lungs, and autoimmune system. And the upper section of the breath into the neck, head, and brain. There you go. The secrets of being healthy and longevity. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. You can still hear my jungle bugs. You can see the environment around me. It's quite beautiful. So look at your environment. Look around you. How many green trees do you have? How many leaves? How much greenery? Or are you in an office building that doesn't have this exchange with plants? All right. Namaste.